My name is Timon Tete. I am a senior client manager with Connected Circles here in Amsterdam, and we specialize in managing the online presence of business leaders and high-ranking executives to strategically reach out to the stakeholders online and take advantage of all the possibilities presented by the digital world and the digital age to make impact for themselves and also make impact for the corporate brand which they represent. So that means on a daily basis, I'm always in touch with my clients who are business leaders to design messages that would be shared on their social profiles. And as we all know, the expectations from leaders today are evolving, and leaders are expected to have a voice and to comment on trends in their industries. So the more vocal you are online, the more recognition you get for yourself and also for your corporate brand. So today I would want to talk about maximizing your social brand. And by maximizing your social brand, I'm talking about taking advantage of all the possibilities presented, all the possibilities available online to make impact for yourself and also make impact for the brand that you represent. And to continue with this, we'll be dividing this talk into 4 different areas. So we will be talking about profiling, we will be talking about content, we will be talking about engagement, and we would also be talking about networking. These are things that go hand in hand with having a very good social presence. And to end it all, I will be talking about employee advocacy. And for the platform, I will be restricting my discussions today to LinkedIn. And of course, the learnings from LinkedIn can also be applied to other platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and maybe whatever platform that you may like. So let's start. Number 1, profiling. Now, what do I mean by profiling? Profiling on social media is all about giving yourself a befitting identity that suits what you stand for and suits the kind of people you want to attract to your network. So the kind of profile you have on your social media platform determines the kind of people that you attract. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, this is a very good time for you to start because it's a very good place for you to meet like-minded professionals. So by profiling, we'll be looking at your photo, your profile photo, your banner photo. We will be looking out for your summary or your biography that you have. We would also be looking out for your experiences. We'll be looking out for your qualifications. We'll be also looking out for your skill sets. So how you define yourself online is what I'm talking about. Now, if I come to your profile, would it be interesting enough for me to keep the conversation going? So you need to be able to define yourself online in the best possible way that would attract the kind of people that you want in your network. So take a good look at your summary. What does it say? Does it say everything about you? This is the best time you have to sell yourself out to the world. So don't take it lightly. People just put like maybe a few lines and like, oh yeah, I'm done. But really, that is not enough. So you need to be careful enough to define yourself. You need to be careful enough to outline your skills, to outline what makes you better or the things that you have to offer. So today, one task I would really want you to do is to take a pen, take a paper, write out everything that makes you unique. Write out your USP, your unique selling points. Look at your social media presence. Are there things that you would love to add that are missing? Identify them. Once you have this outlined, then design a message that defines you and put it out there. If your picture is not good enough, you may think of changing your picture right now. You know, some people have like pictures of like 10 years ago. I'm like, come on, you've changed. You know, you should actually be updating your profile picture regularly. That is the first step. So the next step of your social media presence is the content you share on your social media platforms. So it's really not enough to have a fantastic profile. Oh yeah, you have a very good picture. Cool, fantastic. Oh yeah, you have like a very good summary of yourself. Your skills are well outlined. Everything is all good. You have your outline of educational qualifications. You have an outline of your experiences. You have an outline of your skills. But if you don't share content, you won't be known. So it's what you share that puts you out there. You could either get content or you create content yourself. And the kind of content you share tells the kind of person you are. So if I'm interested in branding, if I'm interested in motivation, if I'm interested in leadership, I would want to share content about leadership. I would want to share content about personal branding. I want to share content about maximizing and taking advantage of all the possibilities presented by the digital age to make impacts. That's my interest. So, and it's very easy to find contents that are related to your industry. All you need to do is to use hashtags or you use keywords. So if I go on Google News, for example, and there are other platforms, you could use Bosumo, which is paid, but Google News is free for all. So you could go on Google News and use the keywords that you're interested in. So if you're interested in technology, you could go on Google News and put these keywords, and you have relevant articles, relevant videos, or relevant photos about this content. If you find anything interesting to you, share them. Because what you share talks a lot about who you are. So invest into the content you share. As an organization, you may not go to Google News, for example, to get content for yourself. You may want to create content for yourself. So invest into creating content. The more content you share, the more content you create, and the more content you share, the more visible you are online. So if you go online and you find content that you love, say something about it. Provide an argument that could either make people support or go against you. But either way, it's good because you're putting yourself out there. If you're creating content for yourself, invest into creating content of quality that would also drive engagements. So if you really want to maximize your social presence, you cannot do it without sharing contents. You need to invest in contents because that puts you out there and that creates more relevance for yourself and also for the brand that you represent. And there's, like I said, it's easy. There are several platforms you can use. One of the easiest way is to have Google News, or you could use an aggregator like RSS All or whatever aggregator that you find. An aggregator is a platform that brings all the news together or all the relevant articles based on your keywords every day. So if you have an aggregator, you put in the relevant keywords that you love or the keywords that you really want to have content on, and every day you have relevant articles on these keywords, and you can decide which of this you want to use and share. But if you want to create content yourself, fantastic. So now we've talked about profiling. We've discussed why it's very important for you to have a very good profile. We've also discussed why it's important for you to share content on your profile, because this is what puts you, the content you share puts you out there and connects you with potential business leads for yourself and also for your corporate brand. So the next stage is networking. So by networking, I'm talking about building a network of relevant connections online, which would also translate to your connections offline. There's a popular saying that goes like this: your network determines your net worth. I'll take that again. Your network determines your net worth. That means the kind of people you have in your network determines how much you have. So you need to invest time into building your network with relevant connections. By relevant connections, I mean connections who will be interested in the kind of content you share, connections who will be interested in your profile, connections who will be interested in doing business with you. So when you talk about networking, don't just go for the numbers. That is a very big mistake people make on social media. You go after the numbers, but what do those numbers mean to you? It's not just enough to have the numbers. The numbers must translate into something good for you. So if you have 10,000 connections and you don't even know them and you don't interact with them, of what use is 10,000 connections that don't even interact with you? It's more profitable to have a network of 200 people that you can do business with than to have a network of 10,000 people that don't even know you. So invest time and energy into building a network of relevant connections for yourself. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. Now, we're using LinkedIn today for this presentation as a case study. Now, on LinkedIn, there's a very simple way you can build a network of relevant connections for yourself. All you need to do is go to the search panel and type the keywords that you're interested in. So if you're interested in manager, or if you're interested in connecting with managers or CEOs or directors or founders, put all those keywords in the LinkedIn search panel. But each of these keywords should be in inverted commas. So founder, inverted comma, president, inverted comma, CEO, inverted comma, manager, inverted comma, and then you click on the search button. And once you click on search, you have a result, thousands and maybe millions of results, but you don't need all those people. Now you need to break it down. So you break it down by geography, maybe by country or by city. If that is not enough, you break it down by industry. So you look for those categories of people in related industries, maybe in IT or in law or whatever industry you're trying to connect. And once you go through all the several filters on LinkedIn, you are having a targeted list. So you're not just inviting people for the numbers, you're inviting people because these are the kind of people you need in your network. The next stage that you may want to consider is engagement. And by engagement, I mean interacting with people on your feed. When you scroll through your feed and you find something you're very interested in, or find a very good article or video, make a comment on it. Because when you comment on those things, you're putting yourself out there as well. People come to your profile, they say, oh wow, this person is really good. I need to connect to this person. They go through all the content you've shared and they can either relate to it or maybe they can disagree. And if they disagree, it's cool. That is why it's a social network. People don't need to agree with you every time. So engage with people that comment on your posts. Engage with other people's content from other people. It's a social network. This is what you're here for. You're here to drive engagement. Drive engagement for yourself. Drive engagement for other people. If you really want to maximize your social presence, you cannot do it without engagement. Okay, so now we've been able to talk about some of the steps you need to follow to maximize your online presence. Now we've talked about profiling, we've talked about content, we've talked about networking, and we've talked about engagements. Now for a brand, for a corporate brand, you also need to consider employee advocacy. And by employee advocacy, I'm talking about building sustainable interactions within your organization. And this also rubs off on your social media posts. Because if you're a young brand, if your team is still young, you need to create visibility for yourself out there. And the only way to do it is if you have this employee advocacy system going on. There are complex ways of doing it, but one of the easiest ways of having employee advocacy, of having like an employee advocacy platform, is to have groups. You can have a group on Slack or you can have a group on WhatsApp. So the idea behind this group is to push contents out. So if you've made a post on the corporate channel or the corporate page of your business or your organization, you need to tell everyone within the team that you've made a post. This is the idea of employee advocacy. So you can post the link and say, guys, we have a new post, go on and like and reshare. You are advocating for support from the employees. And if the employees find something relevant that they think they would love to share on the corporate channel, they can also share those content in that same group. This is the idea of employee advocacy, building a sustainable brand together, because it cannot be done by one person. If you think one person is going to do it, you'll be putting so much load on that person. So have a structure within your organization that supports content sharing, that supports content suggestion, that people can, if they find something relevant, they can put it there. If they've designed something relevant, they can put it there. If they've made a very nice post about the organization, they can put it there. So everyone within the organization knows that this content is out and they should go engage with it. Because the more engagement your post gets, the more visibility it will have as well. And if you have 10 people in the organization and anytime you make a post, 10 people share that post, you are reaching more second degree connections, and which would also go to more third degree connections. So you are creating visibility for yourself and also visibility for your brand. So invest in an employee advocacy platform. You can have the very simple format, like I've said, having a group on Slack, having a group on WhatsApp, where people can suggest content, where people can share content, where people can tell the other guys in the team that they've made a post and solicit for support. This is the idea of employee advocacy. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to you via this platform. I hope I've been able to share a little thing or two about how you can maximize your online presence. And if you'd love to take this conversation further, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. You can send a connection request by searching for me. It's Timon Tete, Timontete, and I would try to answer your requests. And if you'd love to connect with me on Instagram as well, it's T3Official, and I'll be waiting to hear from you. Thank you very much and remain blessed.